And joining us now here on the Kenny and JT Show on News Talk 1480 WHBC from Goodyear, Arizona, relief pitcher Brian Shaw. Brian, thanks for making time for us. We appreciate it. Welcome back as a member of it was the Indians last year. It's the Guardians this year. I'm just curious how your offseason went dealing with the lockout and then as a free agent waiting to find out where you were going to pitch this year. Take us through what it was like for you.
For the most part, it was relatively the same. We talked to some teams prior to the lockout, and then obviously once the lockout hit and everything, the off-season training, throwing program, all that kind of stuff, everything was pretty much the same leading up until about February. Started live BPs, all that kind of stuff, and then just kind of essentially through live BPs every couple of days until we ended the lockout. Just trying to kind of stay ready for whenever we started and got it going. We had right before the lockout ended, we were not coming to an agreement, and everything was going to get shut down. So my wife and I and our son actually drove down on a little vacation, or got in the process of taking a little vacation, just because everyone said, "No, we're absolutely not coming to an agreement." And then in the midst of driving down, we accepted, and the lockout ended. So that got cut short, but it was good. We did a little stuff with our son, hung out at the house, all the training stuff like that. But just kind of nice, easy off season, and then once the lockout ended, obviously ramped it up and ended up here.
So safe to assume you're not going to Disney World.
No, not going to Disney World. We were actually on our way to Disneyland when everything got shut down, and then we went there for a day. We were supposed to be there for a couple of days, and went there for a day, and then drove down to Arizona.
Brian, you're basically the Kevin Love of our bullpen here in Cleveland. What's the secret to your longevity? I mean, every time they've called on you, you've pitched the most innings of any player that I can remember in current Indian / obviously Guardians history. What's the secret to your longevity?
I think honestly, the first thing is lucky. My arm it feels good, bounces back really easily from throwing day to day and stuff like that. But our training staff, our strength guys, do a really good job with the pitchers of trying to make sure that we have everything we need to stay healthy. And obviously Tito, and whether it's Carl now or obviously Mickey when he was here, they do a really good job of communicating with us and making sure if we need a day or depending if we're hanging different stuff to be able to use us when we feel good.
For you, how many games in a row is the most you've pitched in? I'm curious as a reliever. How many days in a row did a skipper go, you know what, he's got a rubber arm, he's getting people out, I'm going to put him out there for however many days in a row it is? So how many was that?
I think 3 in a row is most of the gone, but I've done 3 in a row, 1 day off, 3 in a row, so 6 out of 7 days.
Because I remember talking to the legendary late great Bob Feller, right? And Kenny, I'll tell you what, I used to throw 9. I'd throw both games of a doubleheader, and I'd be able to pitch out there. And he always talked about building his arm strength up. And the more he pitched, the better he was, and the stronger he was. Is that similar to the way you feel?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think when you get, for me personally, when I get too many days off, you get stiff. You get, that's when the soreness and fatigue starts to set in. But if you just kind of constantly just keep getting in game and keep throwing, you never give your body that chance to feel bad, I guess.
It's amazing. You mentioned rubber arm, and there's something else going on here, because the thing is, you've got to be like a superhero to throw like that, because when we saw Andrew Miller when he was here, it started to break down, and we just see that he just recently retired. When you go up against a flamethrower like that, or you see that in your bullpen, is there somebody that you kind of like maybe look up to or pattern yourself after? I mean, nobody could throw like that, but again, you're here, he's not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when I was coming up, we had a couple guys in the bullpen that, obviously I had JJ Putz, Aaron Howman, Takashi Saito were the 3 guys that were in our bullpen in Arizona when I first came up, and, watching those guys and, learning from them and talking to them about their routines and how they throw and, different days of, how, if they're feeling this way, they do this. If they're feeling like this, they do this, and trying to keep your body and arm, in to have the ability to do it day in and day out. You have to read the cues of how you're feeling, and listening to those guys, you kind of take different little. Each one did something a little differently, but you take little things from each of those guys, and even throughout the years, and seeing what different guys do. You take bits and pieces and see what works for me, and do that. So I mean, those guys definitely helped with that kind of stuff.
Brian Shaw is our guest. Indians, there I said it, $10 fine. Guardians relief pitcher joining us here on the Kenny and JT show. And Brian, this bullpen, we know Coacnes is the back end guy, right? He's the closer. You're going to be used in a number of different ways, I'm guessing, from Tito. Unfortunately, Karinchak out with the shoulder injury. And then a lot of young guys. Are they, maybe it's too early in camp to ask this, but do you expect them to come to you for advice and help in trying to, learn what it takes to be successful with so many new and young arms in that bullpen?
No, I don't expect them to. I mean, even last year, some of the guys asked some questions here and there about different things, what I've done or what I do. Like I said, I don't expect them to, but they have, and I know, and they will. And even through spring, a couple of guys have, we talked about some random little things here and there. But there's also, if I see something that's kind of like, out of the norm, I guess I'll actually ask them, why do you do this, or why do you like to do that, and not only just to get, have them think about what they're doing or what they're doing, but also for me to, maybe it's something that they're doing that I like, and maybe I can take what they're doing and implement it for myself and try to, get myself a little better.
Let me follow up on that real quick, JT, here, because the mindset of a reliever is you have to forget about the last outing, right? You got talk show hosts like us, you give up a gopher ball, lose the game.
I've never said anything bad about you ever. I've never said a bad word.
But you know where I'm going with this, Brian,
Yeah.
The mental side of it. We always talk about the importance of the physical side, but how did you learn from the mental aspect to be able to put yesterday behind you, whether it was good or bad, so it does not carry over to the next game?
I think that's another thing that I was very fortunate, that just how I've always been, essentially, but also, so through college, at Long Beach State, we had Ken Revisa as our sports psychologist, and he was awesome. He was unbelievable at the time. He passed a few years ago now, obviously, but I've talked to him. I talked to him over the years. Once I got to the big leagues and stuff like that, many years after I left, obviously, Long Beach, and I straight up told him, I was like, obviously, when you're 19, 20, 21-year-old kid in college, and they're basically like, here, read this book on top of everything else you're supposed to be doing, and we're basically going to have essentially another class about the mental side of stuff. As an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid, you're like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. And I've talked about that. I talked about that afterwards, and I told him, I was like, in college, like, I thought this was crap. Like, I didn't want to do it. I'm just like most of the kids didn't want to do it, didn't want to read it. We did read it and stuff like that, but you don't really understand that effect, I think, until you actually get to, the minor leagues and pro ball and stuff like that, and you start going through all the process, and you start having success, failures, all that kind of stuff in that atmosphere. You kind of look back on the teachings and the readings and all the different things that you learned, and you finally go, oh wait, this stuff actually matters. Like, it actually makes it helps. It changes the way you change your perspective, change the way you think about the game, change the way you approach different scenarios. So I am a true believer of the mental side of the game, even more so, than the physical side. You have a lot of guys that are really talented, can throw the ball really well, hit the ball really well, but if you don't have the mental side of the game and have the mindset to be able to handle, the stress and the failures and success and all the different things, you're not going to last. And so I try to talk to the young guys about that stuff all the time, that, if you don't have a mental side, or if you don't have any kind of approach to that stuff, you need to get one, because otherwise you're not going to last.
You don't want to be Nuke Lelouch, right? You don't want to end up like Nuke and
Right.
Getting scrambled, and they hit the bull. He gets a free steak and everything, right?
Yep.
Guardians reliever Brian Shaw is on the program with us right now. Brian stops at Arizona, Colorado, Seattle. what's so special about Cleveland? Seems like you have the most success here. What is it? Carl Willis, Tito, all of the above, or what?
All of the above. I think, I had success in Arizona before we got traded here. Colorado, then Seattle. Those were stopping points. They obviously, the air, the atmosphere, whatever you want to call it, there. But I think here with this organization, from players to coaches to front office, the people that we have here, they believe in the players. They want success. They want the players to have success. They want the staff to have success. And so from the top down, the atmosphere and the intention of everybody here is to have success. And Tito and Carl and all those guys, Tito really does a good job, especially with pitchers, of putting guys into games where he thinks they're going to have the most success. He's not going to just throw a guy somewhere into a situation and say, here, go have fun, see if you can do it. He's very calculated with when he uses guys and how he uses guys, and does a really good job of making sure that the guys are ready for the scenarios and the situations that he puts them in, because he thinks that that's when they're going to have the most success. So I think, just having that atmosphere here from all of that, it makes it easy and fun to play here.
All right, last thing before we let you go here, in honor of March Madness, we're doing this. The Final Four is this weekend, right? So we've got our favorite four we're going to throw your way, and you weigh in on these, all right? So we'll start with favorite band, music, artist. Who is it for Brian Shaw?
I probably got to go with like Fall Out Boy.
All right. What about your favorite TV show or streaming show, now that that's the way a lot of people watch shows?
We can go anime for you a little bit. The Dragon Ball Z sagas.
Okay. And what about your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie. I'm going to go with Boondock Saints.
All right. And favorite food? You're sitting down, you're having dinner. It's the creme de la creme, your favorite meal. What is it that you're eating?
There is a Mexican restaurant up by where my wife's family used to live, up in the high desert. And they have their special burrito with their sauce. I will eat it every single day. I would, when they used to still live up there, anytime they would come down the hill, we would have them stop there and get burritos with extra sauce and stuff and bring them down for us. And that place.
What's in the burrito? Is it a meat?
So the burrito, it's a burrito. It's about, it's big, but it's got chicken, chili verde, and then rice, beans, all that kind of stuff. But it's more their special sauce that they put on top.
Okay.
It's not just a normal chili green chili sauce. It's kind of orangish pink, and it is the best thing that you'll ever eat.
Well, let's try and get. Well, I was going to say we'll get you an NIL deal like in college, but we'll talk to the front office and get you an endorsement deal with them, so you have those free burritos for life. All right. Hey, Brian, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much. Continued success with the Guardians. Look forward to catching up with you throughout the season.
No, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Brian Shaw checking in with us here on the Kenny and JT Show. Back with more right after this.